The world is obsessed with time. Watches, calendars, deadlines. Time defines our lives, sets our limits. But what if the ancient mystics had a secret? What if they could bend time? Slow it down, stretch it, even manipulate it at will? It sounds impossible, but what if I told you it's not as far-fetched as it seems? Let's go back, way back, to ancient Egypt, where the first seeds of this mystery were planted. In the heart of Egypt, where the pyramids cast their shadows over the land, the idea of time was far from what we understand today. Time wasn't a ticking clock. It wasn't about seconds or minutes. It was cyclical, tied to the movements of the stars and the seasons. Time was a force that could be influenced, controlled, even stretched. How did the mystics of Egypt, Tibet, and other ancient cultures manipulate time? It starts with something we all have, but few understand: consciousness. In ancient Egypt, the priests didn't see time as a straight line. They saw it as a circle, a loop, a pattern. They believed that the soul could transcend the ordinary flow of time. But it wasn't enough to simply think this way. They had a technique, a way of altering their perception. Imagine entering a deep state of meditation where your mind expands beyond the limits of your body. You are no longer aware of the present moment, no longer aware of the ticking clock. You are, in essence, stepping outside of time itself. But it's not just about being present. It's about expanding your awareness, tuning it to a frequency that allows you to see time differently. This was the core of the ancient mystics' technique. And it wasn't just limited to Egypt. Across the world, from the monasteries of Tibet to the mystic traditions of Greece, the secret was the same: altered states of consciousness. Through deep meditation, fasting, or intense spiritual rituals, the mystics of the past could enter altered states where they experienced time as something fluid, malleable. But there's something even more intriguing here. What if this technique could be used not just to experience time differently, but to alter it? To bend it, stretch it, or even slow it down? What if the mystics could control the flow of time itself? Let's zoom out for a moment. We're not just talking about mystical ceremonies or rituals. This is a profound shift in our understanding of what time is and how we experience it. What if everything we know about time, our perception, our experiences, is just an illusion shaped by our consciousness? This brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, the Hermetic traditions. Hermeticism, rooted in ancient Egypt and Greece, was a school of thought that believed in the power of the mind to shape reality. The concept of as above, so below suggested that what happens in the spiritual realm directly impacts the material world. Time, according to the Hermetics, is no different. Through inner transformation, they believed they could alter their external reality, including time itself. But how did they do it? The answer lies in the concept of intention. The ancient mystics understood something profound. The mind, when properly trained and focused, can affect the world around it. If the mind can control the physical body, why couldn't it control time? Imagine being in a deep trance, your mind focused on nothing but your breath. The outside world fades away, time slows down, your heart rate drops, your thoughts become clear. In this state, the boundaries of time blur. It's like stepping into another dimension where time no longer has power over you. The technique was simple, yet incredibly powerful. It wasn't just about escaping time, but transcending it. The ancient mystics knew that to bend time, they needed to transcend their usual perception of it. And they did this through a combination of meditation, breath control, and focused intention. In Tibet, for example, monks would meditate for hours, sometimes days, in a state of deep, focused concentration. In this altered state, they could experience time in a completely different way. It wasn't about waiting for the next moment to arrive. It was about becoming the moment. This state of awareness, when properly cultivated, allowed them to manipulate their perception of time. It's said that some mystics could enter a trance so deep that they experienced time as if it was stretching out in front of them, as if hours passed in minutes. And the reverse was also true. They could slow down time, making moments feel like they lasted an eternity. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What if this wasn't just about perception? What if, by altering the state of their consciousness, they could actually influence the flow of time itself? Could they manipulate the world around them, making it seem like time was moving differently for them than for everyone else? Now, this is where the science of consciousness meets the mystical arts. The key lies in how our brains process time. The ancient mystics didn't have access to modern science, they just had their techniques. And these techniques were powerful enough to allow them to transcend the physical limitations of time. So how can this knowledge be useful to us today? In our modern, fast-paced world, time is constantly slipping through our fingers. We're rushing from one moment to the next, never truly living in the present. What if we could slow down time? What if we could bend it just like the ancient mystics did? The secret lies in our ability to focus, in our ability to train our minds to enter altered states, to experience time as something malleable. Modern research is finally beginning to catch up. In recent years, breakthroughs in quantum physics and neuroscience suggest that time is not the rigid, unchangeable river we once believed it to be. Studies on time dilation, predicted by Einstein's theory of relativity and confirmed through experiments with synchronized atomic clocks flown around the Earth, show that time literally passes at different rates depending on speed and gravity. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station, moving faster than anyone on Earth, experience time a fraction of a second slower. Over long enough periods, the effect would become dramatic. But the story doesn't stop with physics. In the mysterious realm of the human mind, another phenomenon unfolds. Neuroscientists studying advanced Tibetan monks found something astonishing. During deep meditation, their brains shifted into rare gamma wave patterns. In these states, subjects often reported the sensation of timelessness. Minutes felt like hours, or disappeared entirely. Brain scans revealed that areas responsible for tracking time, like the parietal lobe, became unusually quiet. It's as if the brain, by changing its own rhythm, unhooks itself from the ordinary flow of seconds and minutes. Then, something even stranger emerges. Research into quantum entanglement, the instant connection between particles across vast distances, hints that the universe itself might not experience time the way we do. Two entangled particles behave as if distance and time don't matter at all. No delay, no waiting, just immediate change, everywhere at once. Carlo Rovelli, one of the leading voices in quantum gravity, dares to say it outright. Time is not a basic feature of reality. It is a story our minds create, a useful fiction, something that can break, bend, or dissolve under the right conditions. If time is a story, what happens when we learn to rewrite it? Could it be the secret practices of Egypt's Hermetic scholars, the deep meditations of Tibetan lamas, and the trance rituals of ancient mystery schools? Were all early experiments in bending the flow of time itself? Maybe they weren't imagining it. Maybe they found cracks in the wall of ordinary reality and stepped through. But ancient mystics didn't just believe time could be altered. They developed precise, systematic methods to do it. In the remote peaks of Tibet, among winds so cold they seemed to freeze sound itself, monks practiced something known as Turgal. It was not ordinary meditation. It was a radical, almost dangerous method of expanding perception beyond the physical senses. Through gazing techniques, intense visualization, and deep inner stillness, practitioners reported visions of luminous worlds and the sensation of stepping outside the normal passage of time. Some claimed to see their future and past selves as easily as seeing the mountain before them. The Egyptians had their own path. In the mystery schools attached to temples like Abydos and Philae, a practice known as temple sleep was taught. It was a sacred art of controlled dreaming. Initiates would lie in deep underground chambers, surrounded by hieroglyphs describing journeys beyond death and rebirth. They believed that in these altered states, halfway between sleep and wakefulness, the soul could exit the prison of linear time and glimpse higher realities where past, present, and future flowed together like water. And then there were the Hermeticists, guardians of secret knowledge during the Hellenistic period. They spoke of the mind's eye, a faculty that could penetrate the illusions of material existence. Through elaborate visualization exercises, sometimes using symbolic journeys through the stars, Hermetic adepts trained their consciousness to move beyond the ticking of clocks and calendars. They didn't think of time as something to fight against. They thought of it as something to ride, like a current hidden beneath the visible world. In every case, the idea is the same. The normal sense of time is not the only one. It is a layer, a mask, and with the right training, it can be removed. Modern science is now peeking through the same door, only to find that ancient mystics may have been sitting there all along. But how exactly did they do it? What specific steps allowed them to dissolve the ordinary structure of time? And more importantly, can we still use their techniques today? The answers lie deeper, in a method that is surprisingly simple, yet incredibly powerful. Let me show you. The secret always begins with consciousness, not with machines, not with rituals, but with the raw, infinite awareness inside each of us. Togal monks, for instance, would practice for hours in dark retreat, staring into empty space or gazing at points of light. Gradually, the normal rush of seconds and minutes would dissolve. Time would lose its grip, moments stretched into infinity or collapsed into flashes. Egyptian initiates, lying in the temple's deep stone corridors, would enter dreamlike trances, engineered not by chance, but by design. Guided by sacred chants and the scent of burning resins, they crossed a threshold where visions of other lifetimes surfaced. Time in those moments became a spiral rather than a line. Hermetic practitioners, meanwhile, would create vivid inner worlds through focused visualization. They imagined traveling through the stars, walking among planets, speaking to timeless entities. And in doing so, they trained their consciousness to detach from the linear march of hours and days, and step into a greater, fluid continuum. But achieving this mastery over time was never accidental. It demanded a precise inner discipline, one built on three essential pillars: stillness, focus, intent. First, stillness. You cannot bend the river if you are thrashing in it. The mind must settle, breathing must slow, the body must become a statue. Only when external motion ceases can inner motion begin. Second, focus. A wandering mind is like a shattered mirror. It reflects nothing clearly. Mystics would fix their gaze, outwardly or inwardly, on a single point. A star, a sigil, a vision. This narrow beam of attention acts like a laser, piercing through the fabric of normal perception. Third, intent. This is the hidden key. The practitioner must set a clear, emotional, burning intention. I will move beyond time. This isn't a thought. It's a command issued from the deepest part of the being. Intent charges the mind like lightning, creating a field strong enough to distort the ordinary experience of time itself. Stillness prepares the vessel. Focus sharpens the tool. Intent fires the engine. And then, in a moment often described as sudden, silent, and absolute, the experience shifts. Seconds unravel into streams. Memories leap into the present. The boundaries between past, present, and future blur and dissolve. The mystics taught that at the deepest level, time isn't an enemy, it's an illusion created by the mind. And once you control the mind, you control time. So the next time you glance at a clock, remember, the ticking you hear may not be as real or as solid as it seems. Time is not chasing you. You are weaving it, second by second, thought by thought. The ancient mystics knew it, and now, maybe, just maybe, we are beginning to remember.